Ghana for You TV.
Ghana for You TV.
Ghana for You TV.
Yan kanta egumi so asew empanyin so ne wafuru duapa ne piano ne opa bibia kokotoko ne nye na bro o konfo e ho na meskani Twitter ye na me kire wo mo mahira wo ayo kase pia
NPP for abehodu press conference kase pa enye fediago ni nyina fa 120 days in office Mahama aberenda account enra na Afenyo-Markin wonsem e ka kire John Dramani Mahama o kire mu a asema Mahama kan bi ne ho e no kwede berada no kwa bi ne ho a ewom ti Mahama sabi onya de wakan because paso bi ne ho a e wo de wakan so Afenyo-Markin e wonsem bi kan wo kire mpa Ghana for ate ase de ntia wo ka kire Ghana for na se Mahama se de wakan nyina no emfaso bia enu so wo kire mpa ama Ghana for ate nsem nyina ase ha aye Ghana for You TV subscribe and follow ye all social media platform nyina no aye Ghana for You TV sempi e na Afenyo-Markin e kan e de fa aye 120 days in office no then before the omo de assemble ba pa because nsam ne de nsam wum papa de Afenyo-Markin kan de maka se utia better shock intemra.
Thank you very much, national organizer of our party, director of communications, and other members of the national executive here for this collaboration that has resulted in this engagement to let the people of Ghana know that great betrayal of the NDC government, the 120 days of a bitter Ghana under President John Dramani Mahama. As we've already been told by the national organizer yesterday, Mr. President marked his own script, a script that the questions were set by him, and after that, he gave himself a mark. This morning, we are here to expose all the lies, the falsehood, and the inconsistencies. We call it NDC's great deception, from their own social contract to a social collapse. 120 days of bitter government under John Dramani Mahama. In the lead up to the 2024 general elections, candidate John Dramani Mahama released a document titled Mahama's First 120 Days Social Contract. It was marketed as a sacred pledge, a hard-coded promise to the Ghanaian people, time-bound and specific. It was designed to inspire trust, rekindle hope, and restore the image of a party that was seeking for another opportunity to rule this country. The NDC promised to scrap taxes like COVID-19 levy. They pledged to ban illegal mining, slash import duties, revive industrialization, launch mass employment programs, hold public officials accountable, increase cocoa prices. Not the least, they promised the people of Ghana a 24-hour economy under 133, one job, 3 shifts. Then on January 7, 2025, standing before the Republic, His Excellency declared, quote, "I intend to tell you the truth," end quote. He claimed he would act with, quote, "decisiveness and restore," quote, "faith in institutions and initiate what he called a national reset." But after 120 days of his presidency, the truth is brutally clear. The social contract was a political bait and a switch, a glossy list of promises not meant to be fulfilled, but merely to be flaunted, exploited, and forgotten. 1. The taxes remain. 2. Contractors remain unpaid. 3. Illegal mining rages on. No state of emergency in sight. 4. Industries continue to suffer. 5. Unreliable power supply, what I call Doomsday Promax, is unfolding. Further, the job creation pledges have turned into press releases without action. The cocoa prices, the farmers who were promised that 3,000 per bag of cocoa was going to increase to 6,000 per bag, have also been disappointed. And the slight stability of the city, now claimed as the Mahama miracle, is nothing more than a byproduct of a weakening US dollar on the global stage. This, fellow Ghanaians, is not a matter of political disagreement. It is a matter of deliberate national deception. And as you are well aware, this is not just a speech, it is a call to remembrance and resistance. It is a forensic audit of the presidency that campaigned with the urgency of a reformer, but now governs with the indifference of a ruler long exhausted by ideas. I dare say that the lame dark days of President John Dramani Mahama has already started. Today, what we urge Ghanaians to do is to rise up to defend the Republic. And above all, what is happening today is a clear warning. And we will not sit quietly while the will of the people is traded for political convenience. Now the 120 days are over. The promises have collapsed. The excuses have run dry. The reckoning must begin. Let it be said plainly to every Ghanaian. You were not given a reset. You were sold a recycled failure. And now the clock has run out. Accountability must take center stage. Let history record this moment, not as a dawn of renewal, but as a day the veil of betrayal was torn away. Now, let me give you the details. The promise of constitutional fidelity. Today, the executive has broken this promise. What we experience now is executive lawlessness. On his inauguration day, His Excellency vowed, quote, "I shall strive to exercise sound judgment and be willing to act timelessly to resolve our challenges," end quote. But when faced with a clear breach of Article 286, when his appointees failed to declare their assets before taking office as constitutionally required, he did not act lawfully. He invented a bizarre punishment, a 3-month salary forfeiture, no referral to the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, no investigations, no accountability. What the president did was not a legal remedy. It was a constitutional. Betrayal by failing to actions, said that he was going to secure our sub-region and quote, "We must work together to keep our sub-region safe," end quote. Yet under his own watch, Boku bleeds. Boku bleeds. The president offers neither decisive intervention nor compelling empathy. I repeat, today, Boku bleeds. The president and his government offer neither decisive intervention nor compelling empathy. Instead, This government has destabilized our armed forces, begging seasoned, loyal, and trusted officers and replacing them with partisan subordinates. The fact is, the government is not protecting the state. The government is politicizing its spine. A commander-in-chief who weakens his own forces in a time of crisis is not a leader, we dare say. Environmental commitment eclipsed by Galamsey retreat. President Mahama promised Ghanaians that he would act decisively and swiftly as our country's leader. In his much-trumpeted social contract with the people of Ghana, President Mahama solemnly pledged, quote, ban illegal and new mining activities in forest reserves, roll out our Tree for Life and Blue Water Initiative to heal and sustainably harness the environment, end quote. And yet, illegal mining has flourished under his silence. Foreign nationals caught in Galamsey operations are deported, not prosecuted. Contrary to the campaign promises, the promised repeal of the LI 2462 remains unfulfilled. The rivers continue to run red, the forests are gashed open, and the president who accused Nana Akufo-Addo's administration of inaction on illegal mining and promised decisive action offers excuses. The government's inaction on illegal mining is not just disappointing, it is a betrayal. While in opposition, the NDC loudly declared that if elected, they would impose a state of emergency to confront Galamsey head-on. But 120 days into the government, not only have they failed to do so, that they have completely abandoned the agency they once preached. Illegal mining continues to devastate our rivers, poison our land, and displace entire communities. The promised state of emergency has vanished, replaced by silence and inaction, while the sector minister sheds crocodile tears on national television over a sorry state of our rivers, forests, and farmland. This is not leadership. This is not leadership. It is cowardice dressed in empty campaign rhetoric. It therefore came without a surprise to the people of Ghana when recently, on May Day, organized labor, speaking through its Secretary General, boldly condemned the extent to which Galamsey is destroying our environment. And to quote organized labor, Galamsey has worsened within the few months that the NDC assumed office. So all the 8 years that they said the NPP was unsuccessful in dealing with the Galamsey issue, today, organized labor is boldly telling us and saying it to the face of the NDC administration that within this short period of governance, the situation has worsened. I leave it to your judgment. Inclusivity abandoned. Mr. President promised the nation of a leadership of inclusiveness. Today, what we see is a massacre of livelihoods. In his inaugural speech, Mr. President declared, every Ghanaian has the opportunity to contribute to our nation's story, end quote. And yet, since taking office, his government has waged an unprovoked war on public and civil servants. Thousands of civil servants, especially the youth, have been dismissed, not for corruption and incompetence, but for getting employed by the state before his return to the presidency. In their place, party executives are being recruited. Teachers who were recruited and posted into remote communities to teach have been sent home. Nurses who were recruited and were in hospitals and at our health centers helping the poor have been sent home. Efforts to recruit more nurses have been put on hold. Those who graduated from nursing schools and expected to be posted are still at home, have become desperate. And we have a government that is rather creating more unemployment than employment. We say this is not inclusivity. This is not inclusiveness. This is ideological cleansing. This is not a present for all. It is a government for only the NDC. We have two Ghana now. The Ghana for the NDC, where only their party's foot soldiers enjoy, and the Ghana for others who must go through a bitter experience, pain, and misery. Youth empowerment has now reduced to a mere PR stunt. President Mahama told our youth on January 7th, quote, "This movement is a powerful affirmation that your voices matter. We are committed to creating opportunities for education, entrepreneurship, and employment," end quote. But those words now mock reality. The ambitious one student, one laptop policy of the NPP government has been shelved. In its place, a flashy, empty promises to train 1 million youth in coding without equipment, personnel, or infrastructure. Did we go or did we come? Governance has been reduced into theatrics and empty promises. Today, we, the mighty minority, boldly remind the president that the digital transformation cannot be downloaded onto our national digital network by beautiful speeches and launching ceremonies. And Ghana's youth deserve tools, not talking points. I repeat, the youth of Ghana deserve tools, not talking points. Now, not lectures. Leadership is action, not endless lamentation and blame game. Mr. President, NDC government, bring back our lights. You were not elected to lament. You were elected to do the work and fix the light and fix the problem. You promised in your sona that you were going to fix the problems. You are not fixing the problems, fix the problems. Now, assault on the judiciary, the rule of law under siege. His Excellency promised, quote, reset the faith in leaders and institutions, end quote. I repeat, His Excellency promised reset of faith in leaders and institutions. But what is this that do we see? Is that upon the Judicial Council to, at all costs, approve of sin. This is very rich. The president and his government are not on a journey of reform. They are doing court packing. This is dictatorship disguised as democracy. And we, the minority, will not stand for it. Now, they are silencing dissent. The return of iron fists. They promised that they will allow free speech. But today, even political opponents are threatened. They will send their attack dogs on radio. When they think that you are being critical of them, they start to threaten you. Even journalists come under attack. The Secretary General of TUC, who boldly echoed the views of organized labor, is under attack. Even the views expressed by GBA also came under attack. And then they find a way of using social media to spread fake news and falsify information and crush genuine views expressed to shape governments. But let me remind Mr. President that in his own inaugural address, he called for accountability. And promised to fight corruption. Yet, as I've already said, journalists have been harassed. Opposition MPs, like my brother John Intim-Fojo, recently became a target because he had raised a critical national issue, which required the security agencies to engage constructively. They personalized it and they made him a target. It was an eyesore when they unleashed NIB officials at his residence, world Ghanaians rather persecution. They promised constitutional reform, but we don't trust them. What they are doing is not constitutional reform, but they are attempting to create a Trojan horse for perhaps, if not lifetime presidency, a third-term presidency. Already, we have heard the national chairman of the NDC complaining bitterly about the internal struggle for succession. The NDC is abandoning governance and rather thinking of their party interests. Where would the national chairman, no less a person than Mr. Asedun Katia, boldly go on radio in less than 90 days, be talking about that internal problem? We are also aware that another group in the NDC are pushing for a third term for President Dramani Mahama. Is the reason why, instead of the promised governance and constitutional reforms, we are seeing a new agenda. What we know is that there is a sinister and diabolical plot firmly underway to tighten the president's grip on power and prolong his days in office. So they knew that the firmness of the Chief Justice will not allow this. So they started to unleash the attack dogs on the Chief Justice to try and clear out of the way so that they will have their way. But we, the minority, today tell the NDC government they will never have their way. We see diabolical schemes, we read the signals, and we say this clearly: Ghana is not a monarchy. We will not be ruled for life. We will not let one man's desire for autocracy and unchecked power rewire the constitution to suit the ambitions of a desperate party. So the hawks in the NDC who are so power drunk and are pushing through this third-term agenda, let them stay their hands. The other hawks in the NDC who are thinking succession and are not making it possible for the president to govern, and all they care about is their internal struggle for who succeeds him, we are telling them too that they are hurting the country. The government has already entered it lame duck days, looking at all the signs on the wall. This is affecting the ordinary people, and they should wake up to the reality of their bona fide governance. 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 We are wide awake. The NDC should not be under any false impression that with their 183 plus others in parliament, they will find a way of forcing their way with very unconstitutional reforms through parliament. The mighty minority will not allow them to have their way. We will stand firm with the people of Ghana and fight all illegalities in parliament. We trust that Mr. Speaker would accord us the necessary support to air our views on the floor of the House. Now, let me turn my attention to the private sector. The NDC is collapsing the private sector. The government is punishing producers. On the day of his inauguration, Mr. President called on business leaders to help him shape, quote, an environment where creativity thrives and where fruits of their labor contribute to the collective welfare of our nation, end quote. But 120 days, that appeal has cuddled into betrayal. Businesses across the country, small, medium, and large, are suffocating. Why? Because the very government that promised partnership has become a predator. Suppliers, contractors, service providers, Ghanaians who finance and fulfill government contracts with their own resources or bank loans have not been paid. Some have been forced to shut down. Others have laid off workers, and countless others have plunged into debt, despair, and ruin. This government is presiding over economic vandalism, masquerading as governance. When the government refuses to pay its debts, it collapses the very economy it claims to lead. Mr. President, you cannot pay the people of Ghana who have sacrificed to work to build our infrastructure, who have supplied to state institutions. You cannot decide not to pay them. This amounts to the government sabotage of business. NDC government, you are ruining the businesses you came to meet. Your actions are becoming a liability. Now, on the import duties, we go on these broken promises on import duties and the COVID-19 levy. In his inaugural speech, the president acknowledged the pain of Ghanaians, promising to change the destiny of this nation of ours. But this government continues to allow what he had called during his days in opposition, crashing levies and regressive taxes on the backs of the sovereign people of Ghana. He promised to review and reduce import duties to make easier for traders, importers, and consumers. He has not. He promised to abolish the COVID-19 health recovery levy because the pandemic is long past and the people's pockets are exhausted. He has not. Instead, this government has maintained and even compounded the cost of living for every Ghanaian household. Prices continue to surge, markets remain unstable, and traders groan under taxes that, by his own standards, serve no current purpose but enrich a bloated state machinery. Promises under the NDC government are no more sacred. They are just tools for winning elections and excuses for not governing. Betrayal of industrialization, killing jobs, killing hope. The president pledged in January to implement a 24-hour economy to stimulate, quote, to stimulate local industries and attract investment, end quote. But instead of building upon the 1D1F initiative, a bold, pragmatic program that used tax incentives to ignite industrialization across Ghana, the government of President Mahama has shelved it. The government has discarded it, abandoned it, and killed it. Factories that were planned under the previous administration now sit idle. Investment plans have stalled. Thousands of potential jobs have vanished before they could materialize. The message to investors in our economy is loud and clear. You are not safe here anymore. Mr. President, your reset is not a lifeline for the economy. It is projects, the flagship program, 24-hour economy, also known as 133, one job, 3 shifts, would find space in the 2025 budget. That is what the president told us. that Dr. Forsen, his finance minister, will pronounce on the 24-hour economy. But what did we hear? Another matricle. When Dr. Ato Forsen appeared before the House with a budget statement, no mention was made of the 24-hour economy, their own famous flagship program. What Dr. Forsen promised us was that, oh, the 24-hour economy is being considered. And yesterday, as typical of them, they have inaugurated another committee. They said there's another committee responsible for enacting the 24-hour economy. Hey, President Mahama. Hey, President Mahama. Hey, President Mahama. About the same 24-hour economy at Tonsium, you promised that you were going to create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. This should find space in your first year budget. If you really mean business, in your first year budget, that should feature. The government has failed us. Government of lamentation, government of talk and less action. What did they say to the women? The women banking. They went to the market. They said that there will be women banking. Every town, every city, every region will have the bank being established. During the vetting, when we asked them, they said they were going to put the necessary support systems in place to get the licenses for this new bank. In their 2025 budget, the Women Banking Initiative was allocated a paltry sum of 50 million cedis. 50 million cedis. And to me, the market women in Winneba, they are more than 2,000 Ghana cedis square. Ebe, President Mahama. Ebe, President Mahama. Ebe, Menyo lo, Menyo. Yet they gave over 6 billion to their so-called Galamsey board, that gold board that they established. What is it for? Convert $275 million into cedis and get the cedi. They abandoned their own flagship initiatives and agriculture in the budget. They only allocated a paltry sum of 1.5 billion cedis. Even if you break the 1.5 billion cedis down, 950 million alone is for compensation. So the Erikopoku, the agri minister sitting at the ministry, is a redundant minister. I don't know the work that the agri minister is doing at the ministry, because there's no budget for his ministry. How are they going to implement the Nkukon Kiti? And then they loaded a lot of money under that so-called big push, which we are going to scrutinize. They did nothing for agriculture. They did nothing for the women banking. Yet they are promoting Galamsey. How do you say that you are establishing a gold board that is going to buy equipment for small-scale miners? How? It is a requirement. Go and read the Minerals Commission Act. If you want to go into mining, one of the requirements is to show your financial capability. You must show that you have the means to go into mining. So if a government tells you that it's going to buy equipment for miners, you should take it with a pinch of salt. What they are telling us indirectly is that their party boys involved in Galamsey are going to get equipment, and they say they are going to give them soft loans. Really? Government going to give loans for mining? They should tell us plainly that they are rather buying equipment, giving them money to promote Galamsey, and that is what we see. Now, they themselves are undertaking some false praise and making some claims. They claim that the city is strong because of the government's effort. I am a businessman. I will be happy any day if our local currency is strong, because that would help grow the business of Ghanaians, including me, who is a private sector player. But that is not the case. In this government administration, we know all they know is deceit. They are claiming credit for what they have not achieved. We know on the global stage, the US dollar itself is having its own challenges. Recently, the ICE US dollar index, measuring the dollar's strength against a basket of major currencies, indicated that the US dollar has slipped below 100 as market rule from rising sell America sentiment. The dollar is weakening not because the cedi is strong, but because investors are losing faith in the greenback itself. As Nigel Green, CEO of the VIA Group, warned just last week, quote, "Dollar dominance is being critically diluted. Trump's erratic tariff policies, investor disillusionment with US equities and bonds, and global power realignment are fueling this slow but seismic shifts," end quote. So this is not an NDC miracle. This is a global monetary turbulence. This is currency recalibration on a planetary scale. So I'm telling the finance minister, go and pay the suppliers. Go and pay the contractors. The contractors must get back on the road. Government construction project must resume. Pay the contractors and stop holding back people's money. Now, there may be some few steps forward. We, as a responsible minority, will be objecting. What are those few steps forward? Well, we are aware that they managed to take away the e-levy, betting tax and emission levy, that they have said so. But the real issue is that the promise of no academic fee policy for first-year students, they continue to talk about it. Have those students had the refunds made? When Akufo-Addo promised free SHS, it was contained in his first year's budget. Students were not asked to pay for later refund. No. They promised Ghanaian students in the university. What they are telling them is that, we are going to do it. But it's not a talk that we are after. We must equally be clear that some of the achievements that they were talking about yesterday fall far short of the scale and the urgency of the promises they made to the ordinary Ghanaian. You can't just talk about some few achievements that in real terms have no impact on the economy. If you want to talk about achievement, talk about achievements that have made profound impact on the economy. And we invite them to a debate. Their lucky parliament is on break, but we hold on to our submissions and deal with them on the floor of the House. They should tell us the so-called achievement. What real impact have these achievements made on the economy? Zero. Let me quote a policy analyst, Michael Kosi Dede. He noted on Channel 1 TV, that only 9 out of 26 items in President Mahama's 120-day contract have real substance. The reset, he said, are, quote, largely symbolic and cosmetic. I couldn't have agreed with him more. I adopt this submission as though they are mine. And I adopt them because this analyst is speaking to the real issues that confront you and I. When the appointment of ministers, an obligation under the Constitution, was presented as a milestone, I laughed. Clearly, to me, it revealed a government more concerned with optics than outcomes. You claim you've appointed few ministers, but you've appointed more partisan political staffers at the Jubilee House and other state agencies. So what are you talking about? Let me give you one example. Honorable Felix Kwachi Ofosu, the Minister of State responsible for government communications. We are told that the ministry was collapsed and he is there as government spokesperson. But he has some 3 deputies. They say a deputy government spokesperson, a deputy government spokesperson. And then at the same presidency, you have a communication director. At the same presidency, you have a director of research. Then you have a director responsible for agriculture. Ebe, oh. And somebody. So Erikopoku is not competent. Erikopoku, as your lead servant on agriculture, you say that you are appointing a director of agriculture at the presidency to do what? Yet you come back and say, oh, you promised to do less ministers, so we should applaud you. They should do a much more tidy checklist, and they will know that they failed the people of Ghana. So yes, they may try to pat themselves on their own, on their back, but clearly there is no clear delivery architecture for many of the initiatives that they've introduced. There is no single policy direction for any sector of the economy clearly outlined by the government for its ministers. No enforcement mechanism, no timelines. In too many instances, governments have substituted symbolism for substance. What we are witnessing is not the architecture of a national renewal. It is a scaffolding of political theater. Ghana does not need praise points. Ghana needs power, jobs, justice, and delivery. Indeed, the failures that we have catalogued so far are not exhaustive. The cocoa farmers under NPP, cocoa price per bag was 3,000. They promised to increase it to 6,000. We had it at 3,100. They said they were going to increase it to 6,000. Today, they have reneged on that promise, and they tell us that they didn't know the scale of the challenge. Really? So they didn't know and they were promising. We don't need symbolic gestures. They are only engaged in such practices and neglecting the structures. The deeper you look, the more you find that this government does not aim to transform, but they are engaged and in a regression wrapped in rhetoric. Mr. President, you promised truth, but so far we are seeing evasion. Mr. President, you promised inclusiveness. Today, you are serving us with exclusion. Your Excellency, you promised partnership, but what we are experiencing from your government is punishment. You promised prosperity. What do we see today? Paralysis. NDC, I say to you, you've broken your promise. You have abandoned your own sacred oath as a government. You have abandoned your own manifesto. You've trampled upon the hopes of the nation in search of a meaningful continuity. But this country will not surrender. We, the minority, the mighty minority, will not sit back as you redefine and ruin reforms. We will not let you stretch your stay or mutilate the Constitution. After 120 days, we clearly see your schemes. We see your lame duck days. We see a government without hope. We see bitterness along the way. But we promise the people of Ghana that we will stand.
Ghana for you TV.
Ghana for you TV.
Ghana for you TV.
Yan kanta egumi so asaw empanyimfo so ne wafuru duapa ne pia no ne opa bibia kokotoko ne na bro o konfo e ho na me scan twitter ye na me kye wo mo mashira wo ayo kase pia.